Thank you for meeting with me, El.
It's no trouble, Light. What is it you wanted to discuss?
I found something unusual. A notebook, and I think it might be connected to Kira.
You believe you found Kira's notebook?
I don't know for sure. It's probably a copy or some kind of imitation, but it contains some bizarre rules. It says that if a name is written inside, that person dies. There are many other conditions as well. I think it might be worth examining together.
I see. This is certainly interesting. Very well, Light. Go on. I'd like to hear them.
Just as I expected. You took the bait, El. You can never resist a puzzle, can you? My useless Shinigami wasn't able to explain how this book works. Pathetic. But now I have you. You'll hand me the answers yourself, El, as you always do. And once you've served your purpose, I'll write your name. Then this tiresome game will finally end. No more El, only Kira, only justice, only me.
Light, is everything all right? You've been silent for several seconds.
I was just thinking about which rule to start with. How about this one? The conditions for death will not be realized unless it is physically possible for the human, or it is reasonably assumed to be carried out by that human.
Conditions for death. So you can specify the manner in which someone is killed.
It certainly sounds that way, and this rule seems to be imposing some sort of restrictions, but I'm not sure it really makes sense. I mean, physically possible is a little vague, right? For example, is it physically possible for an elderly woman to kill a young man?
Well, if she had a weapon, she could.
Right, or if he was asleep or injured. Almost anything is physically possible under some circumstances, but that doesn't really help us apply the rule, does it? I mean, it's a bit vague, right?
Not unlike your vagueness on how you acquired this notebook.
I just found it lying on some grass, El. Then I brought it to you. It was the only logical thing to do.
My random number generator says there's a 4% chance you are Kira.
El, that's absurd. What will you even do with that number?
Feed it into another random number generator, which is just 100 minus the first number, to get the actual probability.
That doesn't sound random, El.
Neither does you finding this notebook.
Look, let's get back on topic.
Physically possible, right?
Exactly. What's physically possible for someone to do? If Kira wrote that a man's elderly mother-in-law killed him, would it happen? There are situations in which she could kill him, but most of the time she wouldn't be able to since the man's much younger and stronger. So does the Death Note just run 100 simulations and see who won the most times or something? How is the user meant to know any of this, though? How would Kira know if he is applying the rule correctly or not?
Interesting that you use the he pronoun. You also suspect that Kira is male?
I suppose I've gotten used to thinking of Kira that way. You did profile him as likely male, after all.
Yes, and now I'm almost certain he is. But anyway, I suppose physically possible just means what's possible under the person's real circumstances at the time. If someone is in China, for example, then it is of course not physically possible for that same person to die in a car crash in Japan. Plus, if this notebook is truly supernatural, then your knowledge likely isn't required. Ignorance doesn't make the rule stop working. You don't need to know the person's strength. I'm sure the notebook can figure those things out for you.
Damn you, El. So confident, so cocky. You really think you figured it out, don't you? You don't know anything about the Death Note. I'm the one who found it. I'm the one who was chosen. And after our little chat, I'm gonna make sure you
Hello?
never...
Light, you good?
I was just wondering if it was physically possible for you to stand up straight.
You and my chiropractor both.
I guess it's reasonable to assume you're getting physical therapy. Which brings me to the second part of this rule. The conditions for death will not be realized unless it's reasonably assumed to be carried out by that human. If you ask me, this is even more confusing than the physically possible part.
And why is that?
Well, reasonably assumed is incredibly vague. How can you know what's reasonable for a person to do? I mean, is it reasonable for Matsuda to poison you?
Probably about as reasonable as him being on the Kira task force.
I appreciate your humor, El, but you're kind of illustrating my point. Matsuda is alarmingly incompetent and also distractingly ugly. Yet he's here. Would he kill you? I mean, I think he's a good person, but maybe he's jealous of you. So could he poison you? If he was having a really bad day, then it might be possible. He'd probably instantly regret it, but it's reasonable to assume he could do it, right?
With the pressure we're all under, I suppose anything's possible.
What about a mother eating her own children?
Light, that's a very different scenario.
Of course it is, and most people would say it is entirely unreasonable. But what if the mother was starving? Like she's so hungry that she's become delirious? There have been many historical sieges, so I'm willing to bet this sort of thing has happened before. And most mothers usually have a favorite child, and some mothers even resent being mothers. So is a mother eating her child reasonable then?
Well, reasonably assumed would vary depending on the situation. While it is conceivable for a starving mother to eat her own children, it's only under extreme circumstances, so I think it's unlikely to work.
But how am I meant to know for sure?
What?
But how is Kira meant to know for sure? How can he know what's in someone's heart? How can he actually understand and apply this rule with confidence? And why does it even need to be reasonable in the first place? Kira can give anyone a heart attack whenever he wants. Is that reasonable? It's possible, sure, but is it reasonable?
My random number generator is now saying there's a 3% chance you're Kira.
And why are two completely different standards mixed into this one rule?
Which is L for 97%.
How could Kira ever be confident that he's killing someone when this rule exists? Rules are meant to help you predict the outcome, but this one does the opposite. It's stupid.
I don't think you need to be perfectly certain, Light. You just need to avoid writing outcomes that are clearly impossible or wildly out of character. Like you killing me, for example.
Of course!
I mean, it's not very different from human reasoning, right? We make predictions about what people are likely to do all the time, so it's not like you're not already doing this stuff.
I hate you, Elle! You and your cocky little smile, your misshapen spine. You really have it all, don't you? Well, I have a beautiful, loving girlfriend who I ignore. You don't have that, do you? You're a disgrace, Elle!
So, anyway, that rule was pretty easy, Light. I'm a little surprised you found it confusing. Do you have any, difficult ones? I'm happy to explain them to you.
Why, of course, Elle. Let's discuss this one. Whether the individual's death is either a suicide or accident. If the death leads to the death of more than the intended, the person will simply die of a heart attack. This is to ensure other lives are not influenced.
What a mouthful. Am I right?
Yes, Elle, and it poses some problems. For example, what if the top cardiologist at a hospital jumps off the roof and dies? And then there are patients who are brought into the hospital suffering from heart attacks. Those victims are far less likely to survive without the doctor, right? In fact, some of them will probably die. So the doctor shouldn't be able to throw himself off the roof, right? Because then other lives are being influenced.
I can see why you'd think that.
So are doctors just immune from the death note then? Like if Kira wrote a scenario in which the doctor dies, the scenario wouldn't happen because the other lives would be influenced. So the death note still kills doctors, but they all have to die from heart attacks? But then how does that even solve the problem?
I think a pilot is a better example of what you're talking about.
Fuck you, Elle.
I'll let you use my pilot example, if you like.
A pilot is flying a plane full of passengers. If Kira writes that the pilot crashes into a building, that would lead to the death of more than the intended. So the pilot just dies from a heart attack instead. But the plane still crashes, so other lives are still being influenced. So this rule doesn't even fix the problem it was trying to solve. And what's more, you can make the same argument for taxi drivers, bus drivers, the list goes on. And if you think about it, lives are connected in so many ways through friends and family. A death in the family can certainly influence other lives and lead to further deaths, so then those people can only die from heart attacks. But how is the user of the death note meant to know any of that? Like, theoretically, everyone could be influencing the lives of someone else close to them, right? So does the death note just give people heart attacks and that's it? Then what's the point in even specifying conditions if the rule nullifies them, and I have no way of predicting that?
That donut was yummy.
You have the diet of an obese child.
I don't eat like this because I want to. It's because I have to.
That's a load of crap, and you know it.
True. Kind of like your understanding of this rule. Let me explain it to you, okay? Influence just means directly killed as part of the scenario that is written down. It doesn't include every ripple effect afterwards. You obviously can't predict that, so really the rule is just about immediate collateral deaths. Any scenario that is written down for a pilot will influence other lives, so he dies from a heart attack.
But what about the passengers? They died too!
Sure, so the rule isn't effective, but it's still logically consistent. It can still be applied to the pilot case. So yeah, a pilot who is flying a plane will die from a heart attack no matter what you write. But pilots aren't always flying planes, so your written scenario should work when they're off duty.
You mean Kira's written scenario, right?
Of course. Additionally, indirect effects are unavoidable, so it's safe to assume they're excluded. Otherwise, every death would violate this rule and make the notebook unusable. Really, what the death note is concerned about is the chain of events which spring directly from the written scenario. Like a car crashing into a cafe and hitting a socially awkward, definitely heterosexual teenager. What? The death note doesn't want those deaths to be possible, as it is part of the chain of events. The aftermath that follows after the event has taken place is of no concern. As for your doctor argument, the notebook can kill them. Deaths from future patients won't break the scenario since they're just the aftermath. They don't directly follow from the death of the doctor. So to sum up, basically, the point of the rule is to ban multi-kills disguised as one death. Writing a scenario where a car crashes into a cafe or an earthquake happens or something, that's obviously not allowed. Multiple people will directly die in those scenarios, so they won't happen. The person driving the car won't crash into the cafe. and an earthquake won't destroy a city.
Damn, this guy's good. Shut up, Ryuk.
What's a Ryuk?
Nothing. I still have another rule. If a Death Note owner accidentally misspells a name 4 times, that person will be free from being killed by the Death Note. However, if they intentionally misspell the name 4 times, the Death Note owner will die.
This is a fascinating one.
I know, right? It's incredible that there's a rule in the Death Note that makes you immune from being killed by the Death Note. The most powerful weapon in the world can be nullified. All you need is to have your name accidentally misspelled 4 times. How would you ensure that, though? Legally change your name to something horrendously complex?
Would your legal name need to be written down, or your birth name?
Different problem, L. We don't have time for that. If this truly is the weapon Kira is using, then I think it's important for us to make ourselves immune to it. Could we force someone to misspell our name 4 times? Like, hypothetically speaking, if we wrote a scenario into the Death Note where we pass a page of the note to someone and that someone misspells our name 4 times, would we become immune then? Would their misspelling of our names count as an accident? But the person doing the writing isn't purposely misspelling, right?
You're actually considering writing into this thing? Random number generator's down to 2% now, right?
Focus, L. This is important. What if the written scenario says someone is really angry and adamant on killing me when they're writing my name? Like they genuinely believe they want to kill me, but the written scenario says the person misspells my name each time.
You seem convinced this notebook can make people genuinely believe things.
I've used it to brainwash people. Of course it can do that.
Down to 1%.
So would a written scenario of someone misspelling my name 4 times grant me immunity to the Death Note? Even if it did, how would I know I'm now immune? And how does the Death Note even know if the misspelling was intentional or accidental? I guess it can read your mind, right? But what even counts as a misspelling? If their name has an accent and I miss that, is that a misspelling? If I forget the accent, then come back to the notebook later and add the accent in, is their name now spelled correctly? Or do I need to write their name again? The Death Note's meant to encourage experimentation, but it's so vague. Why protect the victim at all?
Well, the rule is obviously just meant to prevent repeated accidental attempts. I don't think you're meant to just brute force spellings until you land upon the right one. You actually have to do some research and work for it, you know?
I do plenty of research.
Also, forcing someone to misspell your name isn't accidental. The scenario is engineered to trigger the rule, so I would assume the notebook treats that as intentional. And if missing an accent means the Death Note can't identify the target correctly, then yeah, it'd count as a misspelling. But I don't think edge cases like these make the rule incoherent.
Edge cases? The whole damn book's full of edge cases. Even my dumbass Shinigami doesn't know what any of it means.
Anyway, I suppose I should arrest you now.
Sexual relations, L?
I beg your pardon?
There are male and female gods of death, but it is neither permitted nor possible for them to have sexual relations with humans. The gods of death also cannot have sex with each other.
Why are you telling me this?
Why is this a rule, L? What happened to make this a rule?
I'd rather not know.
Something must have happened, L. You don't just write a rule like this unless something happens. I need to know, L. For science.
You really are a weird kid.
Why are there even male and female gods of death in the first place? Why make them that way? If they can't reproduce, then where do new gods of death come from?
You know, I'm not really sure, Light. It would be great if Kira was here to explain it to us.
Be careful what you wish for, L.
Though, I don't actually think he's very intelligent.
What?
Well, I found a pretty interesting rule during your several psychotic episodes where you stare off into the distance. The person in possession of the Death Note is possessed by a god of death, its original owner, until they die. The word possessed is interesting, right? It means being controlled or influenced by an outside force. So really none of Kira's achievements are his. It's a Shinigami's.
That's ridiculous.
It's not though, is it? None of Kira's actions are really his own. He's just an instrument to the god of death, much like how the Death Note is an instrument to Kira. So if Kira is using this to kill people, can we really blame him?
That's not what the rule means at all. The Shinigami just follows Kira around, eating apples and playing video games. He's useless. Standing right here, by the way.
Well, assuming you're not Kira, you don't know. So all we have to go on here is the word possessed, which strongly implies that what they do isn't completely within their will.
No, trust me, that's not how it works.
Light, if you were Kira, I refuse to believe you weren't brainwashed in some way. Model student to mass murderer in only a few days? Seems a little strange, right?
He's creating a new world! He's creating justice!
Justice? That's a pretty naive idea of justice. You wouldn't be that stupid, Light. That's the sort of thing a god of death would put into your head to convince you.
No, he wouldn't.
It's the sort of thing that would keep me up at night. Or maybe that's the sugar.
Gods of death are stupid!
I doubt that. Why would Kira be the first person a god of death has given their death note to? Chances are they've given it to lots of people before and seen all sorts of scenarios unfold. I'm willing to bet they're much smarter than they appear.
Kira is smart, not his dumb Shinigami.
Honestly, Kira isn't morally or legally responsible for anything. We need to track down this god of death.
I'm not going to let some damn Shinigami take credit for this!
My plan to riz them up clearly won't work based on the last rule.
You forced my hand, El. You found out too much.
Actually, it was your ego that revealed what I already knew, but sure.
I am Kira!
No shit, Sherlock.
And now, you're going to die! Why aren't you dead yet?
My name is an L, genius. Also, you accidentally misspelled my name 4 times, so I guess I'm immune to the death note now, huh?
Then I'll kill you with my own 2 hands!
Looks like it's both physically possible and reasonable to assume that I'd kick your ass. Huh, bitch. Nier would have laughed.
Ryuk! I need you! Don't swing that way, bud!
Talking to yourself? I guess being possessed by a Shinigami really does make people crazy.
Does this mean you'll absolve me of my crimes?
No, you're still guilty. And also stupid. But it does mean your Kira Task Force salary can now be used to fund Matsuda's promotion.
Damn you, Matsuda!